Hey guys, check out my sleep score this week. On Wednesday, September the 24th, I have a sleep score of 85. So mid-80s according to my Oura Ring, and 1 hour and 29 minutes of REM, 1 hour of deep sleep. Fantastic. And what about yesterday? Yesterday, I had 1 hour 47 of REM and 1 hour and 2 minutes of deep sleep and a score of 91, which is really high. Now, what about today? Today, I have 87 and 2 hours and 5 minutes REM and 53 minutes of deep sleep. So why am I sharing this with you? Well, this is not to brag. It took me so long, years in fact, to get to this level of sleep and to feel the way I feel. Well, it wasn't always like that back in the days, and you would know exactly what I'm talking about. At night, I've got a big day next day. I work in the office, I coach executives, I coach leaders, I deliver training. I've got a lot to do every single day. I need to get to bed. I got into bed, did everything. I took my passion flower, I took my Valerian, I took my supplements, I did my relaxation drill, I start quieting down, I go to bed, I sit there, and then an hour and a half later, I'm still staring into the ceiling. And I know I have to go to sleep, but I can't. It's just like, I did everything right. I did all the sleep routine, I did the journaling, I changed my evening routine, I take my supplement, I try to eat healthy, but then when it comes to sleep, I struggled. And, you know, the more I think about it, the more stress I get, because the next day I've got a lot going on. I need my energy. I know how important sleep is, but whatever it is, I couldn't sleep. I will go, get up, try to sleep, and then toss and turn. An hour later, I'll get out of bed. I might watch TV, read a book, or do something. Then I'll try to get back to sleep, and I just can't. And I'll do that. That pattern just repeats multiple times until maybe about 2 a.m. I start to fall asleep, and I'll sleep for like a couple hours, and I wake up, and I feel like I was drugged. I felt like I just couldn't focus, couldn't concentrate, and yet I have to bring it on. I have to turn up the office. I have to deliver my presentations, deliver training. I have to coach people. I have to try to be mindful. And the last thing I want is to work. I want to sleep, right? And the thing is, when I can't sleep that night, again, I can't, like, I'm so tired, right? I don't know if this resonates with you. It's this feeling where you're tired, but you can't sleep. You're wired somehow, wired and tired, I suppose that's the term. So that was me before I discovered, what it takes to have good quality sleep. And it was a 10-year journey of experiment. Now, one of the first things that worked really well for me was binaural beats. Actually, before that, is to have some kind of sleep score. So I use a Oura Ring these days. So this is my Oura Ring. It gives me really accurate sleep metrics. Now, before that, I used an app basically to get some sleep score. It's not very accurate, but it gives a really good trend and indication. And then I tried, white noise machines. I tried passion flower, Valerian. So I tried generation 1 antihistamine. I tried magnesium. I tried a few things. But one thing that made a big difference was magnesium bisglycinate. And also another thing that worked ridiculously well was binaural beat. It doubled my deep sleep the first time I tried. So those are a number of things that I had to try another way. And I know a lot of you are also struggling to sleep. And you may have tried one thing after another, and it just hasn't worked. And you're wondering, what does it take? And here's something I want to give you, right? It's the way you approach the problem of sleep. Trying one thing at a time is like trying to invent bread by baking one ingredient at a time. You're baking the flour, you get very hot flour. You bake the water, you get very hot water. And you bake the yeast, you get very hot yeast. Now, that may one day accidentally, because you made a mistake, you mix it together and create bread, and therefore you invent the bread. But that is the mindset that typical conventional medicine take. Conventional approach, whether it's conventional to big pharma-based medicine or even supplement industry, they want you to try one supplement or try one thing at a time, and you might be able to get to a result by accident. What I find is that's the long way, that's the hard way. The easy way is to change the way you think about it. You got to think about it in a holistic way. So you got to think about, if to create bread, you need to bake all three things mixed together. And what that is that's the reality-based approach. A reality-based approach means that you do everything, and you have to make sure you cover all the bases, get the result you want. Then you think about cutting back and simplifying. And that's the biggest difference. I notice the best health regime or advice that worked for me is one that's holistic, that covers body, mind, and soul, not just a single factor. And that's the mistake, I think, that as a trained scientist, that's what I learned. You look for the single factor, the single variable, and you control everything else. That doesn't work. That's great for research, but it just doesn't work for us human beings. So look, I want to give you hope. You can solve your problem. You can solve your sleep. It is a solvable problem. You just have to take the right approach. Now, if you need any advice or suggestions, drop me the line sleep below and reach out. I'll reach out, find out what's going on in your situation, and I'll do my best to help. I hope you find this video useful. Catch you later.